It is Saturday, December 3rd, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Saturday puzzle today, which means a themeless crossword, our second of two themeless crosswords for the week, and for some reason, that's exactly what I feel like solving today. I don't really think I could precisely explain why, but I'm in the mood to solve a themeless puzzle today, and fortunately, that is precisely the task that I have that has been set before me. So let's get on with it. This very appropriately timed edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Mitchell Turek, Alan Blunder, Jake Rodkin, and, as always, the invaluable Timothy Mark and the indomitable Shoalmaster. So thank you so much to the five of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support in bringing us this edition and this series more generally. And if you'd like to become a patron of the Daily Solve and get the, a benefactor in particular, and get the Let's Check the Crosses official mug, you can find that at patreon.com/dailysolve. And of course, there's a link in the description field underneath the video. And if you'd like to become a patron at any level and get access to all of the bonus videos that have gone up on the channel to date, as well as the new ones that go up each week, such as yesterday's mini puzzle speed solve, you can find that at also at the same link, patreon.com/dailysolve. Yesterday, most recently, went up, posted the weekly mini puzzle speed solve. It was an interesting one. I was sort of all over the map in terms of my times on those. The mini puzzles have recently changed to being constructed by a rotating cast, which I think has been very interesting, and it does give them a very different character day to day, which has been fun. Anyway, that's all on the Patreon campaign if you're interested, and thank you to everybody who has pledged at any level. Do also subscribe to the channel on YouTube and tell a friend, perhaps, if you think you know somebody who might enjoy this. Now, let's get on to the crossword. This was constructed by Kate Hawkins, around, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of a dozen puzzles to Kate's name, and it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. Of course, as a Saturday puzzle, no theme, just solving, so let's start doing exactly that. Skittish, nervous, or antsy, maybe? Antsy could fit. Month with multiple federal holidays. Not sure offhand. I mean, if it were antsy, this could be April. I'm not certain about these, but let's just put them in and see if I can get any crosses. A top could be less confident about this with that N. I can't really think of anything that works, so maybe that was all wrong. Does February have multiple? I mean, what? I don't know. Let's keep looking. Hello blank, classic ringtone. Classic ringtone. I don't know what that's referring to. Classic ringtone that is a phrase. I guess it's the song, perhaps? I don't know. Like a flat surface on something? Or sanded, maybe? I'm not sure. That would be more like a flat surface, for example, something like that. Couples, items, dyads, pairs. Yeah, boy, this is really... I'm kind of not finding anything here, am I? Atop. Upon? That kind of fits the tone of atop. It's just slightly more formal language than saying it's on something, if you see what I mean. And upon matches that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What about this guilt trip? Oh, I don't know. Let's keep looking around. Blank secretary. I don't know, the home secretary or what secretary? It's capitalized, so it's probably a title. Oh, Madam Secretary, maybe. U.S. Secretary of State, perhaps, when a woman. So that's on me slangily. My bad, or do people say my bee? Is that a thing? I've never heard that, but I'm not sure if it's correct. Not progressing. At a stop? I need to find a good way into this puzzle. Unlikely to cause a stir, say. And great ones are extinct. Great apes? That's not true, though. The great apes aren't extinct. Well, I'll end with an S. The H in HMS, his or her, and now, under the reign of King Charles III, it is back to His Majesty's ship. Okay. Blank potato head, Mrs. Potato Head, I suppose. Oh, look at that. We have a Mrs. and a his. Sort of his and hers thing almost intersecting. Great ones are extinct, unlikely to cause a stir, say. Not progressing. Okay, so at... I'm sure this must be his down here. Word with plane or projection, astral plane or astral... Oh, docile. Right, okay, so not troublesome or itself sort of antsy or skittish, whatever that is. Not progressing. Oh, I wish I could see that. That's very frustrating. Too late to change your mind now. No takebacks. There we go. It's sort of a schoolyard kind of thing. Oh, ox. Great ox. There we go. That's what that'll be. And I'm still not seeing this, which is just infuriating. Guilt trip. Question mark. So this is some sort of punnery or wordplay. Guilt trip. A tour, maybe? Trip a tour. Not progressing, and that works with at, which is what I wanted that to be. At a halt. Right, okay. There we go. It's much too long to get there. That's on me. Maybe I guess this is my be. I don't think I've heard that used in that way. But I believe it. Sure, why not? Guilt trip. Guilt. So the tour is the trip, and what is the guilt bit? Apathy. It doesn't fit anyway, but... Apology tour. There we go. Okay, that was the right way to think about that. An apology tour is a guilt trip. That's pretty clever. So January is the month with multiple federal holidays. Jumpy is skittish. Here we go. Couples yokes, as in couples oxen together, for instance, yokes them together. Hello Moto, Motorola, that sort of hello Moto sort of robot voice that I guess, is that still around? I suppose it probably is. Miles Davis blank, Birth of the Cool Ensemble. The Miles Davis nonette. I mean, it pretty much has to be that to fit here. So a 9-piece combo. Like a flat surface. Planar, it's a plane. Planar. Okay, there we go. So adjectival form of plane. Be approved to proceed is get the nod. And inefficient confetti making tool, a hole punch. I suppose you could very inefficiently make confetti with a hole punch. Actress Catherine of The Graduate. Catherine, I don't know. I might recognize it when I see it, but I'm not sure offhand. Wild Side. I'm not sure about that either. Brain-tingly feeling that may come from hearing whispering or crinkling in brief. Right. This is a very current sort of thing. ASMR. I don't remember exactly what this stands for, but it's S would be the sensory, I'm sure. And R, I think, is the response, which is what's being referred to by the brain tingling feeling. It's the response in your brain. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's some sort of sensory response when you hear sounds that are particularly satisfying to you. Okay, some 4x4s, ATVs, maybe all-terrain vehicles, and Between Blank Ferns, Zach Galifianakis web series, Between Two Ferns. I remember that was sort of around for a while. Was that a Comedy Central thing, maybe? I'm not sure. Okay, quite the reverse. A swerve or a switch of some kind? Switcheroo? Does that fit? It does fit. I wonder if that's possibly the answer. Newbies are... We'll end with S. Why can't I see what this is? It'll be newcomers, recruits. Oh, that's so annoying. Catherine Ross? That sort of sounds familiar. Catherine Ross. Is that maybe the answer? Wild Side. Pest? Is wild? That doesn't really work. Test? I'm just looking at the keyboard here. Well, that's very annoying. Maybe I'll delete that just in case. I think it probably is Catherine Ross, though. Sound investment. Stereo system. So you would invest in a sound system, a stereo. Close enough. More or less. Oops. There we go. You got it, more or less. You got it, close enough. Prepare as chicken for tacos. Chicken is often shredded in tacos. And things horses may have that other farm animals usually don't. Shoes. Horses are often shod, and most other animals generally are not. Malachite, for one, is an ore. Malachite ore, that looks correct. A daughter of Titans in myth, Eos, there we go, from Greek myth. And kind of pad, SOS pad. What is that? I assume this is correct. I'm not exactly sure what that's referring to, but I imagine it's correct. And I hold it to be the inalienable right of anybody to go to blank in his own way. Oh, to go to hell in his own way. Robert Frost. That's very good. So I guess switcheroo is spelled with an E. That looks much better that way. Why did I think that was an A? Yeah, switch as in switcher or switcheroo, yeah. Okay, so there we go. We've inferred a couple of things through crosses. And soupy fare could be gruel, an unappetizing way to describe a sort of porridge-like food, I suppose. Oh, newbies are virgins. Okay. I guess I was thinking in a more general sense, but I guess virgins can be used in a pretty general sense as well. Okay, brandish is wield, as in a sword. And wild side, oh, the Wild West, I see. Okay. Boy, I wasn't on the right track with that in the slightest. So Catherine Ross, indeed, of The Graduate. And let's keep going. Do my eyes deceive me? Could it be? Is it true? Cheesed off. Irked, maybe? Or ired? Or... I'm not quite seeing it. Could it end in ED still, maybe? Let's look at the crosses. Klein, who was the first solo female artist elected to the Country Music Hall of Fame. That'll be Patsy Cline, I'm sure. So good thing I double-checked that. So cheesed off. Something at. Something at? Ired at? I don't know why that would be true. Vim. Vim and vigor and sort of energy and pep, I guess, with P. That looks right. At all, even a little. Wow, I'll be amazed if that was correct. That was just the absolute first thing that came to mind. Tropical islet, a K. There we go, tropical islet, a K. Okay, I think this might be correct. That's astonishing. High follower, high... Maybe not. High U or high... Maybe it's like high def as in high definition or something like that. Because that's often high, H-I-G-H, in a commercial sense is often contracted to H-I. What chocolate and hearts may do. Melt. Melt your heart or your chocolate. Novosibirsk negatives. Novosibirsk. It's probably, I'm presuming it's in Russia. So niets for no. Pluralized. Alternative to a blind in poker, and I know that has to do with betting in poker, so an ante. And starters are the A team. People who go on first in a game. Cleared home plates. 8 in. In other words, you cleared your plate of food at home. And of course, the question mark is tipping us off that this is being a little bit punny. Someone observed recently in a comment, I don't remember which puzzle this was or what the clue was, but they found it strange that the question marks, there was a case of a question mark clue in which they said, but the words are being literally used to mean exactly what they mean, so why is it a pun? And it's not necessarily that it's explicitly a pun, it's sometimes just that we're being a little bit cute with the language, and it's because often the non-literal way to read a particular phrase is actually more linguistically sensible, if you see what I mean. So that, in other words, the literal meaning would be a strange way to read it in normal speech. If you were speaking to particularly a native or fluent speaker, they would understand the idiomatic, non-literal meaning more easily. And so often the question mark means read something even more literally than you otherwise would. So it doesn't necessarily mean we're sort of distorting the actual technical definitions of the word. It just means we're not reading it necessarily in the most obvious idiomatic sense. So anyway, cleared home plates. Well, does this even fit into that explanation? Cleared home plates. I don't know. This is sort of a funny one where the whole thing's just kind of a pun. Yeah, but anyway, probably should have chosen a better example. It just came to mind, and I didn't want to forget to mention it. Triangular head sails. They must be jibs. I know that is a sail, of which one might like the cut, but I think it is triangular. So there we go. Good cheer is If you're in good cheer, you're jolly, maybe? Jolliness? Jollity? There we go. Orphan of British literature. Orphan of British literature. Jane Eyre? Easter Procedure. Lent? No. Oh, no. There's an apostrophe here. I think this is going to be nor for nor'easter, which is a phrase used for a particular storm, a sort of windy storm, a nor'easter, which is obviously a contraction of northeaster. So there we go. That was a clever little bit of a light misdirection there with that. I almost overlooked that apostrophe. Okay, excessive. Something too much something. Empty bottles. And sweet cherry liqueur. Maraschino liqueur is a sweet cherry liqueur. I have a bottle of that, in fact, in the living room. I don't think it's opened because one of the things I always struggle with liqueurs is that you've got this big bottle and you don't really need very much of a liqueur very often unless you're making a particular cocktail quite a lot. So I always struggle. When do you break the seal? I guess it's when you need it. It's just, anyway. Okay, Gardener of Film, Ava Gardner. And Crank Rev, maybe, as in an engine? Crank an engine, rev an engine, that might be it. Permanent desire. Question mark, oh right, okay, permanent desire. Oh, so a permanent as in a perm, done to one's hair. So waves, maybe, you want waves in your hair, so you get a permanent. Okay, do some coursework. Mow the lawn, is that referred to as a course of a lawn course? Excessive. Oh, no, I see. As in a golf course. You could mow a golf course. Right, there we go. For instance. Excessive. Over the top. That's what it is. Okay. And empty bottles are... Oh, tope. 2 empty bottles. Wow, that's clever. So we're using empty here as a verb rather than a noun. We're saying to empty a bottle would be to tope, to drink. Compact. Teensy? Maybe even a little is wrong, but it can't. That wouldn't make any sense. It fits all these things. What about this? Something that has a ring to it. Something that has a ring to it. A phone call. Maybe it has a Hello Moto classic ringtone ring to it. They might be capital or cardinal, capital sins or cardinal sins. There we go. In a religious context. And stokes fuels as in a fire. Couple of laughs, hee, and takes nothing in, fast as in doesn't eat anything. Peel, pear as in fruit, and piece in a sewing project, a panel, right? You could have a panel on which something is what's the word? Embroidered. Okay. Organization featured in Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. I've not seen it, but it's quite clearly NASCAR. The racing circuit or league or whatever it is. Compact. Oh, I see. A compact as in between nations. A treaty. There we go. So carpel's counterparts. This is a plant thing. Stamens. Carpal stamens is something. It's sort of reproductive organs of organs of plants. I think. Cheesed off. In a pet. I see. I'm really cheesed off. I'm really in a pet. I'm in a mood. There we go. To block is to damn or to jam. Actually, maybe it could be either of those. Miss Piggy or Bette Midler, a diva. So this is to block is to damn. And pipe cleaner. One getting bent out of shape at preschool. Pipe cleaner, right. So actually, here's an example of something where we're reading it more literally than we're actually reading these words in their most literal, straightforward meaning. So a pipe cleaner, which is that sort of fuzzy wire tool or arts and crafts component, it can be bent out of shape because you're bending it in the arts and crafts project. And we're being completely literal here. But of course, the more idiomatic reading, if you spoke to a fluent English speaker and you said, I'm talking about one getting bent out of shape at preschool, they would think, oh, it's a child throwing a fit. Maybe a child in a pet or whatever that was. Yeah. And so that's what I mean when I say often the question mark is, even though it's a pun, it's sort of a pun because we're actually discarding the more conventional idiomatic meaning of the phrase and using a more grammatical but sort of actually less comprehensible in a normal context reading. So anyway, there we go. I'm glad I came to an example of those in this crossword. And then high resolution, not high def, but high res. And there it is. That was the Saturday crossword. I did enjoy it. I had a tough time breaking in for some reason. What was it? Jumpy. Yeah, struggled with that. Came to antsy, which would have been basically plausible, but it didn't work with the crosses, of course. And yeah, I found this little corner here a tough spot to break in. I probably should have just more quickly gone elsewhere and found an easier break-in point. But all in all, this was, I think, a very well put together Saturday puzzle. I really enjoyed it. Probably made it a little bit more difficult than I needed to for myself, but that's okay. It's a Saturday after all. So there we have it. A nice effort by Kate Hawkins. Really enjoyed this one. I hope you did as well. And it was, after all, exactly what I said I wanted today. So, and I do have time to do some clues from yesterday's puzzle, and I just realized I hadn't actually gotten them worked out. So let's just see if they're obvious, and if not, I will pause the video and find some. So, Rosie Fay points out that a minced oath is one where the offensive or religious word is replaced, e.g. darn or heck. So there we go. That's a more precise meaning of minced oath than whatever I sort of fumbled around. And let's see. I think that was actually the only correction. So given that, I will read this other bit, which is not a correction, but just some more context. Zio R95 explains, the BBC has banned quite a lot of songs over the years, some for reasons you may expect, e.g. 67 songs with semi-violent imagery were banned around the time of the First Gulf War, and some for ridiculous reasons, such as a version of the song I'm Always Chasing Rainbows by Perry Como and later by Ken Dodd, for being a bad perversion of a Chopin melody and should be barred. That's absolutely incredible. I have to imagine this sort of thing happens much less frequently these days. Anyway, there we go. That was today's video, today's crossword. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow for the longer Sunday edition of the crossword, and I hope you join me then. But until that point, please do have an excellent remainder of your Saturday. Take care.